and listening. Welcome, listeners. This is the Orange Thumbstick Podcast, episode 27. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. If you're a current subscriber, thank you so much. If you're yet to subscribe, please give us a subscribe on Android, iTunes or YouTube, whichever is your preferred channel. We really do appreciate it. It helps us out a lot. If you are listening on YouTube as well, drop us a like as well. That helps us out big time. Thank you so much. Busy week. We've got quite a few things to go through this week. Quite a bit of news. But first of all, I'm joined as always by Mr. Agris Rage. How are you, Russ?
I'm good, cheers, mate. Yourself?
Very well, very well.
Good.
Mr. Bobby Fales, are you present?
I'm here.
How are you?
Not bad, mate. Yourself?
I'm alright. A little birdie tells me you've still got the arsehole over April Fools, is that right?
I'll always have the arsehole over April Fools, mate. You know that. That's never getting let go now. It's a good job I'm not going to EGX. It really is a good job I'm not going to EGX.
I wish it was. I'd have brought you a hat.
Yeah, we've got quite a bit to go through, as I mentioned earlier on. First of all, what have you been playing? Bobby, I'll start with you. What have you been on?
I have been playing Hellblade, and I'm going to say this part wrong. Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, I think is how it's pronounced. Masters of that's the one. Masters of Anima, The Crew, Rocket League, Far Cry 5, and another one that's going to be something for the weekend, so I'll talk about that later.
Excellent. Russ, what about yourself, mate? What have you been
on? Far Cry 5, Extinction, and The Crew, which you kindly gave to me to check out ahead of The Crew 2 being released later this year. I've never played The Crew, so yeah, that's what I've been on.
Yep. You enjoying it?
Yeah, I've not really jumped into it properly. I just drove around with it being a massive open world. I thought I'd go and check out a few landmarks, did the Route 66 drive on the game. It's weird that, because it's only marked so far, then the signage vanishes. So I had to get a map up and make sure I was going the right way. Well, yeah,
highly underrated, I think, the original Crew. It had its issues upon launch, but I think they've learned from that, and hopefully it'll be implemented for 2. So, yes, I've been on Far Cry 5. The review, he's up for that now. It went up last week. Love it. Absolutely brilliant game. On a par with number 3, without a doubt, which was my favourite Far Cry game of all. And number 5 comes really close to it. So, yeah, incredibly good game. And on the other end of the scale, I was playing Extinction as well, which the review is up for that. I don't know what to say, really. Russ, what do you think I should say about Extinction without going into too much detail?
One word, one syllable.
Yeah, okay. Begins with S. Begins with S and ends in hit.
It's disappointing, isn't it? It's, people should check out your review to see it, but yeah, disappointment is the key word for that game.
Yeah, so much potential. And to quote something I said in the review, it was like the developers had a start but struggled to find a middle and an end.
Yeah.
But go and have a read of it and make up your own minds. If it's a game that you want to try out, then by all means. But yeah, give that a read.
Specifically, like the part where you said Extinction is a game that had so much potential, but feels like the developers fell asleep halfway through the storyboard discussion. I just wanted to put my little bit in there so that you know that I read the review.
Reading the review live on air doesn't count.
No, I read it this morning. I read it this morning.
You just read that off. You've got a tab open now.
I did not. I read it this morning. I'll admit I did get the tab open now so I could read that bit, but I did read it this morning. Had to this morning because it had to be posted somewhere, so I had to go through it and make sure it was all right.
Yeah, I put that in there because that was the impression that I got. It was kind of like they'd got so far and then thought they didn't really quite know where to go from there. So yeah, it's it's a real mixed bag, but it's incredibly disappointing. But go and have a read of the review anyway, check it out. So lots of news this week to go through. I'm going to start off with a bit of news that came out sort of the tail end of last week. Spyro the Dragon is coming to Xbox. It's going to have a remastered trilogy called the Reignited Trilogy. So basically what it is, it's been redone for a collection of Spyro the Dragon, Spyro 2 Ripto's Revenge, and Spyro Year of the Dragon. All three games were originally developed by Insomniac Games, who have had nothing to do with this remaster as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know. It was released originally for the PS1 between 98 and 2000. The Spyro Reignited Trilogy is coming to Xbox One on September 21st this year, so September is starting to look really packed out. Activision, of course, who've got the license, have announced that the trilogy is going to be developed by the Skylanders developers, Toys for Bob, so the game is going to be polished, there's no doubt about that. And it's worth noting as well that it's another previous PlayStation exclusive that's coming to Xbox after Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy was announced, No Man's Sky from last week, and of course, you've just mentioned it there, Bobby, Hellblade as well. So, thoughts on Spyro? Russ, did you play it originally on the PS1?
I did, not a lot, mainly due to it being, 98, I just left school, so I was interested in other things. Gaming took a bit of a back seat for me. So yeah, I did check it out, but yeah, I never really touched any of the sequels either. So
yeah, similar thing to me really. I was 18 when the first Spyro came out. So like you, I had a bit of a downtime in terms of the gaming side of things because I was, being 18, you're into other things at that moment in time. But I went back to it later on, and I finished the first one, but didn't. Like yourself, I kind of played 2 and 3, about an hour of each, but never really took much interest into them, really. But that doesn't take away from the fact that they were fun games, and I think the trilogy is going to be good. Bobby, what about you? Was you into Spyro when it was originally released?
Yeah, I was in primary school, lads, so I couldn't tell you any specifics. I do know that it was Spyro the Dragon that I played. Haven't played any of the others. I did play a little bit of Spyro the Dragon. I had it on PlayStation 1, I think. That's all correct. I think it was that. It might have been PlayStation 2. But yeah, I played a little bit of it. I couldn't tell you any specifics of the game. I just remember that I enjoyed it and thought Spyro was great. So looking forward to seeing what they do with it and getting to have a go of it on the Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, what they've released, it looks good. I mean, I want to sort of point out here that this isn't, your bog standard remaster with a fresh lick of paint. This is works from the ground up. They've, taken their time and completely redone everything. And the footage that they've released looks really, really good. And I'm looking forward to it, and I'm going to check it out when it comes out. So that's good news for Spyro. A little bit of news that we've recently had come through as well. Sam Fisher is going to be appearing in Ghost Recon Wildlands. It's going to be an add-on. Ubisoft announced today that Sam Fisher will return in a Special Operation 1, which is the first major update of the second year post-launch content for Ghost Recon Wildlands. Wanted a new Splinter Cell game. I've made that quite clear in the past, but I'm sure this will sort of tickle the pickle, as they say, until then. But what do you make of it, Ross? Are you going to be jumping into that? It's a free update?
Yeah, I'll be checking it out. Part of me thinks that there's a bit more to this than it just being a little add-on for you to have a go at playing with or whatever it is. Or do you play as, or is it just with? The way it's worded makes me think that you play as him, do you?
No, I believe that you play one of the ghosts
alongside,
you alongside him, yeah,
right.
And you basically do the mission. So, are you thinking there's something? There's an
ulterior
motive to this whole thing?
Yeah, I think they're treading the waters with the whole Sam Fisher thing. It's the only franchise that they haven't really had a release for a long time, have they? And I think they're just testing the waters to see what the interest is. But I also think that they maybe testing, because it was obviously going to be based around stealth, which was the whole Splinter Cell thing was stealth, wasn't it? So I think they're testing whether a stealth-based game, i.e. a Splinter Cell game, would work with the Wildlands game engine. That's what I'm thinking.
You think it's Splinter Cell open world, kind of Phantom Pain style?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I'm unsure what it's about, to be honest. It could be testing the water, like you say, for maybe a new Splinter Cell game, maybe going into territories I've never gone into before, which is an open world Splinter Cell game. But I also think as well that it could be content, just to launch the second year of post-launch content for Wildlands and doing it with a bit of a bang. But what you've just said, Russ, kind of might have some substance here, because Michael Ironside's returned to voice Sam Fisher, and I don't think he would return to voice him for just a one-off, one level, maybe an hour or two of gameplay.
So too much investment has been made into this one thing just for it to be a one-off.
Yeah, definitely. Bobby, what about you? Are you into the Splinter Cell games? Does this excite you, or does it encourage you to jump back into Wildlands?
I would like to check it out. I've never really been massive on the Splinter Cell games in the past. I have checked a few of them out, but none of them have kind of drawn me eye enough to sit here and rant and rave about any of them. With that being said, it doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy them. Originally, when I heard about this, I just thought they were kind of cashing in to drag out Wildlands a little bit, try and get some more content for it, like what you thought. But after hearing what Russ says, I think he might be right. And to be honest, I think that would be a fantastic idea. I think it would be great.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the content, I don't necessarily think they're dragging it out, because one thing that can be said for Ubisoft is they show commitment to their games.
Yeah.
I mean, Rainbow Six Siege is a great example of that. The Division is a great example. For Honor is a great example of that. And now Ghost Recon Wildlands as well is a great example. They show commitment ongoing. Constant updates, constant additions. They're having these year 1, year 2, and even year 3, which I think they're on Rainbow Six at the moment. So their ongoing commitment is there. I just think that maybe this is a bit of a mixture of both. It's to launch the year 2 content, and as Russ said, maybe they're testing the water a little bit to see how it would operate, in such an open map the way it is. But yeah, I'm excited for it, and I mean, they've said here, someone's quoted from Ubisoft, we're all super excited to bring such an iconic character as Sam Fisher into Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands. Teaming up with Sam Fisher will require the Ghost stealth, cleverness and tactics. We can't wait to see the reactions of our players as they face this new challenge. It is released as we speak right now. It was released on the 10th of April. It's a free update for everybody, but additionally as well, there's going to be a free weekend of Ghost Recon Wildlands this weekend from the 12th of April to the 15th of April, and it will be available on all platforms, and it will also give newcomers the opportunity to try out everything. So it includes Ghost War PvP mode, the Predator mission, and Special Operation 1 as well. So yeah, it's good times, I think, for Ghost Recon Wildlands, especially after the Predator mission. Who knows? Could have a new Splinter Cell game soon. So, excellent stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on then, we've had another revelation in the microtransaction situation.
Yeah.
Rush, you brought this to my attention, I think it was last week, not long after we'd done last week's podcast, actually.
Yeah.
And Shadow of War, which I suppose you could say was... a lot of people were unhappy about this upon its pre-release. They had microtransactions in Shadow of War. Those have now been completely, they're going to be completely gone. There's an update later on this year. I believe it's around about May/June time, where they're going to be removing the gold war chests, and basically the game is just going to be progression. So you can unlock things with progression only. You're not going to be able to buy it with real world money. They said that they've taken this out because it affects the Nemesis system. It does. Russ, I want your comments on this, because I mean, I've got my opinion on it, but I want your comments on this. How big of a step do you think this is, especially after what happened with Battlefront 2 as well?
Well, it's massive, isn't it? It's a case of the precedent has been set now. The two biggest games that it was all centered around have both backpedaled to the point where if any developers decide to try it in the future, there's the excuse there people can use of, well, EA and Warner Brothers both went back on the whole microtransaction loot box thing. Why are you introducing them into your games? They're not needed, not wanted. You know, it's there. They've said it's a mistake. So yeah, precedent's been set.
Yeah. Bobby, you in agreement with that? Anything you think is behind it, or you think it's just that?
To be honest, I think they just listen to the community, and it's for the best. I mean, it's what we've harped on about for weeks on a lot of podcasts, and it's really what we wanted is the plan that we've put together, and it seems to be happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love Shadow of War, and I love Shadow of Mordor as well. But when the microtransaction news came out about Shadow of War, it did leave a bit of a stain on my excitement for the game, to be honest, because microtransactions at that point were just flooding games in general. It was flooding the internet. Star Wars Battlefront was controversially sort of reported everywhere for having them. But the game reviewed well. I gave it a 9. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't think the microtransactions really impacted much at all. Some things were a bit of a grind, some things weren't. But what this does is it makes everything sort of even again. It makes that Nemesis system relevant. If the Nemesis system is so natural and dynamic and progresses so naturally, that if you add microtransactions in there to spawn more powerful allies and things like that, it takes away what makes the Nemesis system so good. Mm-hmm. That sort of random generator, real-time dynamic system. So by doing that, I believe that they've made the Nemesis system better and how it should have been in the first place. So again, just like the Battlefront 2 thing, this isn't me applauding Warner Brothers or Monolith. This is me again applauding the community because they've made their voice heard. And they haven't backed down from it. That's the most important thing. People have kept on and on and on and on. They haven't backed down, and they've gone, okay, we'll take them out. We'll make the game better. So, well done, gaming community. I'm over the moon. Sticking with Warner Brothers games. IO Interactive, our friends over there that do the Hitman series. They've just signed a deal with Warner Brothers Games to publish Hitman from now going forward. And as a result of that, Warner Brothers are going to be publishing and distributing Hitman Definitive Edition. A bit of a bittersweet thing in a way, but I'll elaborate on that more in a bit. Bobby, good news, do you think, for the Hitman series?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that they were looking for someone and they weren't going to just jump at any offer. They wanted it to be right for them. And we did. I can't remember how long ago. It was a good few months back, I think. And we wished them well and said we hope to find someone. And I mean, Warner Brothers are quite possibly one of the best they could get. One of the best. Obviously, there is a hell of a lot of others out there that are doing amazing. But I mean, I'm happy with it. I know that there's a bit bittersweet there, and I know what you're going to bring up next, so I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to leave that for you. But I'm quite happy for them. I'm glad that they've went with Warner Brothers.
Yeah, okay. Russ, what about you? How are you feeling about this?
Yeah, it's a good thing, mate. I said when they parted ways with Square Enix, I was hoping that a publisher would pick them up. So that's happened. So yeah, good on them.
Yeah. I think it's worth noting as well that IO, when they did part with Square Enix, they were willing to go it alone, and that they had commitment to the series and the franchise, and Square Enix sort of said, the IP is yours, you take it with you. That's that you control that. I'm still puzzled as to why Square Enix did what they did and parted ways, because Hitman's a massive franchise. Warner Brothers have obviously come in with a lucrative deal for IO to accept it because they didn't really need to. They did state that if the right deal came along, that they would consider it. they obviously deem this being the right deal. I hope it works out for them. I'm absolutely mega chuffed. They deserve it. They did a great game with Hitman Season 1. But there's a little underlying issue that I have with this, and they're going to be releasing the Hitman Definitive Edition, and that's going to be coming out on the 18th of May this year. Now, the issue that I've got is I was a very early adopter to Hitman. I purchased the whole game before all the episodes had been released. I purchased the whole game based on the Paris mission. So I think the whole lot cost me at the time, I think it was about 45 quid. For essentially a one level at the time that I had, but I was confident the game would be quality for the rest of the episodes, and it's a great game. I reviewed it again for the site, and it was the return to form that Hitman needed. Really, really good game. But what bothers me is after that, they then go and release the disc version, which we knew about, but then they also released the Game of the Year edition with extra content that day one early adopters that showed commitment to that particular title had no say in having that content. They had to pay extra to have that. And then now they're going to release the definitive edition where early adopters, disc owners and Game of the Year owners won't have access to the definitive edition features. They've then got to pay even more money to get those things. So that bothers me a little bit. I just want to, if I ever going to go forward with this deal, they need to have some consistency and have a bit of a productive sort of plan going forward with this. Because having 4 editions of the same game in the space of 18 months, nearly 2 years, don't think it's right. Do you see where I'm coming from, guys?
Okay,
do you understand?
It doesn't look right. It doesn't look right at all. I didn't think of it like that, Dave, I'll be honest with you, and it just doesn't look right.
Yeah, it's just, if they were to do the original release, early adopters, and then do like either a definitive or Game of the Year edition 12 months later, got no problem with that. That happens in gaming, that's what happens. But to release, the disc edition that had some extra little bits with it, then the Game of the Year edition that had some extra bits with it, and then the definitive edition that have got even more extra bits with it. To have those early adopters have to pay, again, 3 other times after to get all that content, I just don't agree with. But on the flip side, I wish them all the best. They're a great studio. They do wonders with the Hitman series. I can't see anybody else ever doing that series justice but IO. And I wish them all the best. I hope it works out for them. Moving on. Russ, I'm going to go to you with this one because DayZ have just released their first footage on Xbox. Talk us through it, mate. How do you feel about it?
First impressions, looks good. Few visual bugs that I noticed. Like some of the character model actions were a bit weird, like twisting too much at the hip and stuff like that. I don't know what sort of stage that the footage is at, whether it's alpha or if it's release footage, I don't know. But yeah, to say it's based on the same sort of assets that PUBG is based on, it blows it out of the water. I know I'm not comparing the games as it's PUBG versus Dead. I'm basing it based on they both share the same assets from the same sort of mod back on the PC days when they was both being developed. DayZ looks miles better.
Yeah, Armour 2, wasn't it?
I believe so.
It's what they're modded from. Yeah, I mean, I know you're excited for this. This kind of appeals to you a little bit more than PUBG in a way.
Yeah,
it's because of the
zombie survival sort of stuff as well as PvP. Yeah.
Yeah. Bobby, what about you? Did you check out the footage, or was you too busy drinking beer?
I did originally watch it when I was drinking loads of beers.
You sure?
I'm positive. I did watch it. I was drinking loads of beers and I kind of skimmed through it. And then I went back when I wasn't drinking beers and I watched it again. And to be honest, the video that I watched of it, which was outside Xbox's video, was just a load of running around and then eventually seeing a zombie close to the end. And by that point, I was a bit bored. The game did look great. I just kind of wish I'd seen a bit more action in what I watched. But yeah, it looks good. It looks like PUBG mixed with 7 Days to Die, but graphically obviously a hell of a lot better. I'm hoping that it does the justice that for the hype that I've got set in my head for it, but I am going to stop watching anything on it from now until it's released, just so I can see what I honestly think, rather than overhyping it and then being disappointed.
So do you know what I mean? State of Decay, not 7 Days to Die.
Yeah.
I only said 7 days because zombies.
Yeah, but State
Survival.
of Decay is
So that's
zombies
what
survival, and 7 Days is like Minecraft zombies survival.
It's not really like Minecraft, is it?
Yeah.
It is in a way.
It is 7 days, you build with blocks.
Not really.
You do.
Don't agree with you there, like.
Get out.
Bobby fails, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Bobby fails.
I've actually got a message here in our XGR chat, and it says, just to let you know, guys, there is footage up for DayZ, check it out. And then Bobby's replied by saying, can't do it at the moment, fellas. I'm really into Kitty Powers at the moment, and I've got to unlock this final achievement. But thanks for considering me to watch the video.
Don't be pissing on my mate Kitty Powers. That's a solid game. That's a solid 10 all day. That's all I'm saying. I'm even thinking of leaving the site and just doing a YouTube channel of Let's Plays of Kitty Powers. Just hours and hours of footage of me playing Kitty Powers.
On cam.
What? On cam?
On cam, I dressed up like Kitty Powers.
What, you're going to dress up like Kitty Powers on the camera? You're going to do
Mate, would you like that?
I don't know if I would, to be honest. I don't think my TV would either.
Seeing my beautiful face in 4K, I don't think you'd be able to handle it.
Only if you took your hat off.
We're going to have to tell them the hat thing,
DayZ.
you know. We're going to have to tell people the hat thing before we continue. Because you just keep seeing hat references and no one's going to know what's going on.
Go on then. Explain to them, Bobby, why you're on about the hat all the time.
I'm going to sound like such an alcoholic. I was in the pub, as all good stories
Was
start.
this not the same
Again,
night you were supposed to watch the footage, though, of DayZ? I'm sure it was.
No.
I think it was, yeah.
I think it might have been, actually. It might have been. I was in the pub with the missus, and basically, the pub was extremely crowded. It was the busiest I've ever seen it, and I was pushing my way through the crowds to get to a little area that was seen that we could stand in, and there was he looked in his 50s, going through a midlife crisis with his friends, absolutely mortal. Now, I'd just got there, I hadn't had a drink, and he decided to look at us and go, nice hat. I would have understood the reference if I didn't have extremely short hair, or if I had a hat on my head, but I didn't. And obviously, with us being a barber, I wanted to insult his receding hairline, but I thought that would be a bit tasteless. So I said a few bleep words and walked away. But ever since I've told the lads that story, they've never dropped the hat thing. So there you go. Bit of shinfo from Bobby Field. Should we make a shinfo segment? Should we make a shinfo segment now? I mean, we've got something for the weekend. Should we do a shinfo segment where I just tell you a crock of shite that's happened that week?
No. Something for the weekend is enough, I think. But yeah, DayZ, it's going to be coming out this year. I don't know if it could be delayed. It might be. I think we started the K2 coming out. Yeah, I think it's going to be.
Would you bet on it?
Would I bet on DayZ coming out this year?
I mean, I'm not betting. You have to make a bet with us. All I'm saying is if you lose, you have to stream Kitty Powers for 2 hours.
Okay, yeah, I think DayZ will be delayed.
What do you think? Because you're making the bet with them. I'm staying out with this, so I don't know.
You need to make the bet. You're the one that's brought it up.
I'm not. You make you stream a horror game.
We was quite happy to let the whole
right,
betting thing go.
We'll both make the bet. I actually think it's
I'll
going to be this year, but
Bobby,
I'm going to say it's going to be next year. I'm going to say it's going to be next year. You can say this year, and the loser has to stream Kitty Powers for an hour.
No, hang on a minute. I've just said it's going to be delayed. Why would I say it was going to be this year?
Then. Sorry, I wasn't listening. You just said I don't read your reviews.
Just leave it.
Okay, so I think DayZ is going to be delayed, and
I don't think it is.
Win. You don't think it is? Okay.
If you win, I'll stream Kitty Powers for an hour.
No, if I win, you stream
No,
Dead
'cause you're gonna
Space
pick something
2
scary.
for an hour.
Nah, I'm not agreeing on that.
Okay.
Moving on
Let's
then.
move on. Well, let's move on until Bobby grows some.
All right, I'll do it. Dead Space against Kitty Powers. Dead Space against Kitty Powers. I'll do it.
Sound. I think DayZ will get delayed.
I think it's going to be this year.
Okay. Well, we will find out. I just think it's too close to State of Decay 2. Unless they release it at the same time they release PUBG, which was around the beginning of December, I can't see them doing it. I think it'll be delayed to early next year, but we will see. Okay. So, swiftly moving on, Bobby. Do you know what time it is?
Time is it, Dave?
It's time for Bobby Fails presents Something for the Weekend.
This week in Something for the Weekend, we're going to take a look at Minute. Priced at £7.99, which is $9.99 or €9.99, and was released on the 3rd of April 2018. It's a little bit hard to explain this game because when you first look at it visually, it looks like the original Pokemon games on the Game Boy, but black and white instead of colour. It basically plays a character who is cursed and has a minute to live. So, each day is a minute. So you go out, you've got 60 seconds when you leave your door, and you've got to run around and do loads of different tasks, and then you'll be respawned back into your home. Then you have to go back and keep adding to it. So basically, you're just constantly adding to your story and your quest that you need to do, but you've got a minute to do set tasks. For instance, on one bit, you have to kill 3 crabs, and you get given coffee. And with coffee, you can push boxes out the way so you can get into other areas. You're equipped with a sword. You also get a watering can, and I believe there's other goodies along the way. You can also go to a different home, and that'll be your home base. So after the minute, when you wake up in your bed again, you'll be in the new place. It's just so you can make your way around the overall world a bit easier. But it was extremely enjoyable and a nice little twist, nice little concept there, and definitely something you should pick up.
Cheers, Bobby. Sounds great. So yeah, if you like the sound of that, go and pick it up. It's relatively cheap, isn't it, Bob?
Yeah, £7.99, which is like, it's pocket money, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not much at all. Sounds like a really good concept. Fantastic. We're going on a little bit of a trip this week, aren't we, Russ?
We are, Dave.
Would you like to tell our lovely listeners where we're going to be going?
We're going to EGX Res in London.
Yes, without Bobby, because he's going on his 15th holiday this year.
Yeah. So
he can't make it. Hey?
I'm going to play Drink the Beer, believe it or not. Do you believe that I'm going to play Drink the Beer abroad?
While watching the DayZ trailer.
I was watching the DayZ trailer and having countless people walk past saying, "Nice hat, mate."
Yeah, we're going to be at EGX Res in London, and if anybody's there, come and say hi to us. We'll be covering everything that's there as much as we possibly can anyway. So yeah, can't wait for that. It's going to be a fun time, I think. Yeah. Is there anything else? I think that wraps it up for this week. Russ, do you want to do plugging of the website?
Yep.
Yeah, plugging the website and social media.
Yeah, head over to xboxgamerreviews.com for all the latest news, reviews, and giveaways we've got going on over there. You can follow us on Twitter at Xbox_GR, and on Facebook, that's facebook.com/XboxGamerReviews. You can head over to YouTube and check out all our videos there. That's youtube.com/XboxGamerReviews.com. And of course, you can go to Mixer and follow us on there for all the latest streams that we do. That's mixer.com/XboxGamerReviews.
Wonderful. Thanks everyone for listening. We really do appreciate it, as I said at the top of the show. If you're already a subscriber, thank you. If not, please subscribe. We really do appreciate it. That pretty much wraps up this week. I think we are off to buy Bobby some bright pink glittered lipstick to go with his Kitty Powers hat. We will see you next week. Ta-da.
Ta-da.